Let's bake a giant cinnamon roll. This giant cinnamon roll is 9 inches across and will give your Dutch oven a new purpose. The process to making this cinnamon roll was similar to all the other cinnamon rolls I've made, with just a couple of differences. The first difference was using parchment paper. The second difference was using a Dutch oven. And third, this dough was actually layered. So instead of just rolling out one rectangle and smothering it with cinnamony goodness, you roll out 2 rectangles and smother them with cinnamony goodness, and then stack them on top of each other before cutting your strips. Now I wish I could take credit for this recipe, but I can't. This recipe comes from King Arthur Baking, and I would certainly recommend you trying this. The dough has a buttery rich flavor thanks to just 12 tablespoons of butter, and the filling is also sweet and full of cinnamon flavor. And although this recipe is for a giant cinnamon roll, I would love to try and make traditional cinnamon rolls with this as well. The trickiest part of this was actually forming that giant cinnamon roll. After stacking your dough, you cut it into 6 long strips, and you build your cinnamon roll directly in your Dutch oven. Now, I probably should have followed the directions a little bit better, because after forming the middle of your cinnamon roll, you're supposed to cut those strips in half. So the long strips that I was using were a little bit tricky to get wrapped around. But it still worked, so I can't complain. I'd also love to try this as a sticky bun, adding in some raisins and maybe some nuts, and pouring a gooey syrup in the bottom of my pan before building this. Due to its size, it does take a little while to bake, somewhere in the area of 50 minutes. It comes out a beautiful golden brown color and then is drizzled with a vanilla confectioner's sugar glaze. This giant cinnamon roll is quite the showstopper. I mean, how often do you see a cinnamon roll that engulfs an entire Dutch oven? And then once you cut into this cinnamon roll, you'll see all of the layers of the cinnamony goodness that were formed by stacking those layers of dough. Happy baking!